knowing that I was in Perth and she was in Perth. It'd be silly not to connect. So thank you again for the invitation. And yeah, I'm excited to share what I can for the next hour with you all.
Thanks, Peter. I was muting myself while I muted everyone else. So I've just got to keep letting people in because I've got to admit them from the waiting room. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about your journey with the Entourage. Tell us about what you have done with them over the last 10 years and how it's led you into what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. So Jack DeLose is the founder of the Entourage, and what the Entourage is we pretty much help six-figure businesses get to 7, and 7-figure business get to 8 or beyond or exit. They're the two things that we do really, 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 really well. So my background in business was pretty much from running a chain of businesses, and I grew that to a chain of 15 businesses. The biggest challenge I had was staying profitable. Growing one business was quite profitable. 2 was still profitable. When I got to 3, 4, and 5, I started plateauing and even losing money. And I realized that my business was key person dependent. It was really about me. You know, if I was driving sales, if I was driving marketing, I could go to 2 to 3 sites and that would go great, but the other 2 or 3 sites wouldn't. So I'd rush to those 2 or 3 sites and that would go great, and these other 2 or 3 sites wouldn't. And I realized I was the bottleneck. I was the problem. It wasn't, and it took me a while to figure that out because it's never our fault, right? It's always somebody else's fault. So ego tends to get in the way. When I checked my ego in at the door, I realized that I didn't have the infrastructure and the resources. I didn't have the systems and the processes for my team to put them in the best position to succeed. So I had to start systemizing everything. So I put the handbrake on the growth and I went back into systemizing. First thing was systemizing the sales process. You know, a team of 60 odd salespeople, and I realized that none of them fired at the same time. They were all doing it their own way. I had to pay high wages to hire good salespeople when I really couldn't afford it. And I thought, if I had a really good system, then I could hire someone with the right attitude and the right personality, someone who suited the culture of my organization, and I gave them my sales process, and I could hire the right type of person and train the skill. They had to be, good communicators and have high levels of self-esteem, some of the key characteristics of a strong sales professional, but they didn't have to have the sales process because I knew I had that. And the minute I started systemizing the sales process, imparting that to my team, they started winning. And then the time it took me to go from 5 to 15 sites was half the time to go from 0 to 5 because I had the processes in place. And that was really the turning point for me to understanding such an importance of how to create a replicable sales process and the difference it does for cash flow in organizations. So, my background in building successful businesses was doing it. And then I left Perth in '98, moved to Sydney. I moved to Melbourne first for 3 or 4 months, and then met a gentleman who became my business partner. We started a consultancy business that started helping businesses grow. And then in 2005, we started the National Sales Academy. So it was an academy to learn to go how to sell. And that's when I first met Jack. I was doing a keynote at a 2-day event. He was in the audience with one of his businesses, and we got chatting. And he actually came and worked at the National Sales Academy for me at that stage because he wanted to master the craft of selling. He did that for about 12 months, and he went off and started his own businesses. And we kept in contact. And a year or 2 into the Entourage, I was going to branch out and do something different. And he said, "Hey, come and build this thing with me, and let's kind of ride the wave of helping entrepreneurs build their business." So we started doing that in 2012. Well, I joined in 2012 as the CEO. We grew up very quickly in 2.5 to 3 years to a team of 90. We got voted the 4th best place to work in Australia, in the top 50 in Australasia. We've worked with tens of thousands of business owners, helping them grow and helping them scale. And, that's what we've done for the last now, on the 1st of April, we share a birthday with Apple and also April Fool's Day. So that's our 10th year birthday anniversary. So that's kind of a Reader's Digest version of kind of my business life, so to speak. And I'm now relocated back to Perth, probably the last 15 months, more for lifestyle reasons. We've got a really good team at the Entourage now, a good board, a good executive team. I now spend 1 day a week in the business there. And I really put all my energy now into the Sales Institute, which is really helping you build a replicable sales process that's tailored for your industry, tailored for your stage of business, to help you drive revenue and drive sales. And that's kind of my swim lane that I'm really obsessing about now, is helping each and every one of you guys get consistent sales on a business that's not key person dependent. And it's fun. I love it. I live in Perth. I coach my son's basketball team. I coach his soccer team. I'm an age manager at the surf club. You know, I moved here for lifestyle and family is my number one value, and I've been able to do that still while playing with the entourage and helping SMEs and driving sales for business owners through the Sales Institute. So, yeah, that's kind of my background and my story and kind of the two different businesses that I'm working with at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. It's a bit of a different world out there at the moment. You know, a bit unexpected. You know, think back to a month ago and where we were at and how different it is now. And in some respects, it's a bit of a shift that a lot of people needed to make anyway, and now they've been forced to make. And sadly, there's a lot of businesses out there that have had to close their doors straight away. And, you know, I've spoken to some business owners who have closed their doors and said they'll never open them again. What do you think is the thinking that people need right now as compared to, say, well, December 2019? How is it different? How should they be thinking?
It's really interesting. I've literally been in lockdown mode for the last 2 weeks, helping business owners. Like my day, look at my calendar, it's literally been booked in after booked in. Both aspects. I've got some clients that are in a real challenging state that we've helped turn around very quickly, and others that are, because of what's going on, their business has boomed. But how not to be order takers in a time of success and how to really continue the growth behind it. And I think right now, the key thing for me is there's probably two things. We need to be aware of what's happening in the world, but I don't think we need to buy into what's going on in the world, right? We need to be educated. We need to be aware. We need to know what's going on. However, dwelling on what's happening will only drag you back to the pack. And the quicker, you know, I've spoken to probably hundreds of business owners in the last couple of weeks, and we all sit there and we think about, I thought about going online 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 3 months ago, and now kind of everyone knows we all have to go online, right? So I think the thinking is right now, it has to be more around, I got a colleague of mine, Taki, who said this very well the other day, and I'm going to steal it from him. You know, there's three things businesses need to do right now. They need to pivot, they need to protect, and they need to create profit, right? They're the three things all businesses need to do. And what do we need to pivot? We need to pivot our message, right? The message we used to go to market with may not be the message we need to go to market with right now, right? That message might have to change. The promise that you make to your market, right? That promise now may have to change because the consumer is looking for different things right now. I don't know if everyone's aware, but social media activity has increased by 76% in the last 2 weeks. There's more people on social media right now. Impressions have gone up by up to 29% on some platforms, right? That's how often you are getting seen in someone's feed. So there's been a lot of, you know, the cost of leads now is actually starting to reduce a little bit because the amount of people that are online. So there is massive opportunity out there. If we're too busy dwelling on, and I'm not going to say the words poor me, because there's lots of people out there that are handcuffed. You know, hospitality industry is literally, they can't do a lot. They've been shut down. But there is an opportunity right now where we need to understand that there's a point where we have to look at our market and be okay to make sales in this marketplace. If there's one thing I know, then money needs to circulate in the world, right? And a lot of people are too shy or too embarrassed to sell their products or services. They're thinking they're coming from the state, I'm taking advantage of the community right now. Money needs to go around in this world for the world to exist. Other people in the world need all your products and services out there in some way, shape or form, and you need to be comfortable and confident enough to be able to share that with me. We need to be more present. I see so much opportunity on social media and digital marketing right now in sales because people are not out there. Where now is the time to be more present, to create more content, to be more available to more people, to get people to know who you are and where you're coming from. Now is the time to do more, not to do less. And I think we need to switch from a scarcity to an abundance mindset. And I know it can be easier said than done, but it's just a necessity. We need to think of the how can I mindset. How can I make a shift? How can I make a pivot? How can I change what I'm doing right now? How can I deliver? This is one company I'm helping right now. 5% of their market share was a certain avatar. That 5% has now become their 95%, right? And that might only be for the next 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. But we need to start having an abundance mindset of how can we add value. And then the second thing I think we need to do is, there's enough naysayers out there right now. The world needs more leaders. Now is your time to shine. Now is your time to step up and be a leader, because the world is craving for more leadership right now. We've got a variety of industries in the room here right now, and people want to be led. It's just a fact, right? In life, we are tribal by nature. We want to be led. And you've got to make the decision. Is that going to be you? Or is that going to be your competitor? And I think that's the type of thinking we need to have right now in the marketplace.
Peter, do you think that they're obviously with those people in particular, so if we can just keep touching on for now those that may have had an offline business and
Yes.
no real online presence, they might have had a website or something like that, but no real online presence. Do you think there needs to be a real lag time, or there will be a lag time for those people to establish something that is more giving value to the market from a whole different perspective? Because they've had to change their model in so many ways. Some people haven't thought of how they can take their industry online, but there are so many ways with all industries that they can do it. So do you believe there needs to be that bit of a lag time while they get established, or what would you recommend from a sales perspective, how they can get their customers on board now?
It's interesting, right? If you go back, look at MBAs. If you look at the way we've been taught to run a business, like traditionally business is, I have an idea, right? Ping, light bulb moment. So the first thing you're taught is create a business plan, right? So you knock out a business plan. Then what you need money to execute the business plan. So we go to capital raising mode. It could be the 3 Fs, family, friends, and fools. It might be your own savings that you've got, and you dive in, right? And you start executing the business plan. So then you have to do is you got to sell the crap out of what you have and market it to a wider audience. And traditionally, that's how business has been trained. And I think right now, the world we live in today is vastly different. I think what you need right now is you need to get consumer insight to what's going on in the world. Where's the gaps in the marketplace? Where's the opportunities? What are your customers thinking and feeling? What are they craving for? Understanding consumer insight will give you the light bulb moment, right? Because often we build something, it's almost the field of dreams, right? If you build it, they will come. And it couldn't be further from the truth in today's environment. We need to get consumer insight and build what your market wants, not build what you want and try to sell it to your marketplace. That's hard sales. That's hard marketing. That's very old school. So the first step is consumer insight. The second is use that consumer insight to create your idea, build a minimal viable product, take that back to the market, get insight from those people. Then build your core product. During that time, you're building an audience, you're building a database who are contributing to what you're building. So when you launch, you're launching to a marketplace that already wants what you have. And they're called the early adopters. And once you get the early adopters, then we grow, and getting marketing sales is so much easier once you have this magical word called momentum. So many people won't start a business until they have a website. They won't start a business until they have, in the old days, until they have a business card, right? I don't have a landing page. We don't need to have the core product or to start the business with everything. The ducks never line up in a row. They're running off with their little all over the place. What we need to do is build audience. The first step everyone needs to focus on is building audience, right? And that is getting out there and creating the content, being an authority in your marketplace, communicating with there's more social media platforms now than there's ever been before. In the old days, we had to buy someone else's audience. You had to buy someone else's database, right? You bought a quarter page ad in the local newspaper, or in a financial review, or in whatever country you're in the newspaper, or you bought a 30-second slot on a radio ad, or a 30-second slot on TV ad, like you're buying someone else's audience. Right now, we can create our own audience. So there doesn't need to be a lag time. Like, when's the best time to get out in the market and community? The minute you finish this Zoom call. You should get out there and talk to your marketplace. Even if it's asking them what do they want. But we need to get out in front and center. But you don't need to wait to have a website. I've run my Sales Accelerator program, right? It's a 4-week program that teaches you how to build a replicable sales process in 4 weeks. None of it is videos. It's all accessed with me in a Zoom room like this, no matter where you are in the world. And 94% of their people make their money back in the program before the program finishes, right? Because it's practical, it's hands-on. If you search the Sales Institute, I don't have a website yet, but I've just sold out 8 programs and I don't have a website. People think that's ridiculous, but I didn't need to wait 6 weeks and put in $10,000 to launch it. I just launched it because I knew there was a gap in the marketplace, and I created a product that talked to that gap. People didn't want to do a sales course for 6 months, for 12 months, for 12 weeks. They wanted to learn something, use it on the very next sales and get a sale and use that money to invest back in their business. And this is my philosophy. I believe the money that you make, you should be investing back in your business, not going to your savings. Don't go and raise capital if you don't have to raise capital. Don't lose equity in your company if you don't have to lose equity in your company. So I created something that the market wanted. And, I've run 8 programs, 5 this year already, and they've all sold out. Why? Because it wasn't about the website. I didn't wait. There's no need for lag time. So I'm quite bullish about when's the best time to do something. The answer is always now.
So from the perspective of, it's obviously online, it's very competitive out there if people want to see it like that. How I work with clients in order to not be competitive, because even what I do as a coach, hang on, let me just mute Veronica. What I do as a coach, I find I could look at life as being, I'm in a highly competitive market, because every time you turn around, you say, what do you do? And they're a coach, right? However, I've honed down my niche. I know exactly my niche. I know who it is that I'm talking to. So everything I'm doing from the perspective of whether I'm giving value or whether I'm promoting a program or whatever it is, I'm speaking to an audience. How important in this market right now, where it's so competitive online, do you think it is that they have a niche, that they can own as their own and become an expert in?
Right now, knowing your avatar is just everything. I believe to grow, you need to niche to grow. You need to do less to do more. Your market needs to know with absolutely zero hesitation what you stand for, right? There has to be complete cut through on what you stand for. People don't buy vanilla. You don't want fence sitters. There's a really good podcast called Masters of Scale by Reid Hoffman. He was the founder of LinkedIn. He obviously just sold recently for quite a handy sum of money. And it's all about, he interviews really successful big organizations, the Sheryl Sandbergs, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Airbnbs, all the major companies we know. And he's got contradictory advice of how businesses grow and what he thinks. And so he interviews them all. And it was interesting when I heard the one that he did with Airbnb. And Airbnb made this statement. He goes, and I'll make it to everybody right now. I'm going to give you 2 options, right? Left hand, right hand. Left hand, I'm going to give you 10 people that love what you do. Okay? Right hand, I'm going to give you 10,000 people that like you. And your knee-jerk gut response, initially, what's the first response? 10 or 10,000? And most people are going to say the 10,000, right? Most people would say the 10,000. And what the Airbnb guy said, we only wanted 10 people to love us. That's it, right? And I mean love. I mean be a raving fan. Do you know who took all the photos for Airbnb when they first started for the first 12 months? 2 founders. They went to every home and they took their own pictures. People said, oh, you guys are the founders of Airbnb. Yep, we're here to take pictures to upload on the website. They wanted to create 10 people that love them, because 10 people that love you will tell another 10 people that will love you. Now you have 100 people that love you. And then when you have those 100 people tell another 10 people, you'll now have 1,000 people that love you. And when those 1,000 people tell 10 people, you'll now have 10,000 people that love you. And you get this exponential graph curve of people that love you and adore you. So the key is you need to niche your market to understand them better than they can understand themselves. We need to talk to the hearts and the minds of our consumers, the minds of your consumers. And you need to know them exceptionally well. I have a client of mine who builds WordPress websites to help you get more leads and more revenue. He had a 25% conversion rate. We took that to 63.7% conversion rate in 1 month. He had a 2 to 3 month sales cycle that is now 3 days decision-making cycle. And what we've done is we've niched him. He only works in 4 industries. That's it. He builds websites for 4 industries. But he knows that market so well. He's become a leader in that marketplace. I know with my story, my background was health and fitness. I ran chains of fitness centers. I ran a consultancy company in 5 different countries that told fitness centers how to become more financial. But then one day what happened was a manager of a fitness club left and went to a finance company and said, hey, Pete, I know it's been 6 months. The training you did for our fitness club is amazing. We do none of that in the finance industry. Can you come and build a sales process for the finance industry? I believe in what Richard Branson says, and that's when a good opportunity smacks you in the face, say yes and figure out how to do it later. So I said, yeah, sure, I can do a sales process for finance. I got the phone and went, I've never worked in finance in my life. But I looked at the replicable sales process to create for the fitness industry, transferred them to the finance, trained them. I got known in that industry as the guru. And that led to mortgage broking, and that led to this industry and that industry. But if I didn't niche and do my 10,000 hours in the fitness industry and understand marketing and understand sales, understand culture, understand product, understand operations, understand finance, I wouldn't have been able to work in over 140 industries that I do right now. So knowing your segment better than they know themselves is probably the biggest asset you will have as a small to medium business owner over a big corporate, because corporates lose that. Whereas we have the ability to pivot like a jet boat. You know, you look at a big cruise liner in the harbour, it takes them an hour to get out, and I've got to do a 50-point turn to get out of the harbour. The jet boats, we can pivot whenever we want to. So I think understanding your market, understanding your avatar in today's market right now, if I can give you one quick tip, you need to segment and micro segment your database, right? So you need to segment your database. I mean, you can segment it in lots of different ways. You can segment it in industries, in product lines, in average dollar per spend, but then we can micro segment as well. I guarantee there's one audience that you have or you don't have it hit right now that has not been affected by this coronavirus, right? You need to go after that segment right now. That's your lowest hanging fruit. Who hasn't been hit, right? So segmenting and micro segmenting and niching down is the best way to grow and to scale.
What about from a I'll better play back my end, a product perspective and a pricing. So product with pricing. So say someone's taking their products online as opposed to offline where they're selling it in a retail outlet or however that is. Do they need to alter their prices accordingly, or what's your advice around that?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I remember in the fitness industry, I used to do personal training, right? And I used to sell $70 for an hour's worth of personal training. There's only 70 hours in a day, and I realized I was selling time for money. And selling time for money is not scalable. It's just a big no-no in business. So I started doing half-hour sessions, right? And my price was nearly exactly the same, because what I realized, people want training that don't want time. I repeat that. People want the solution, not how long it takes to the solution. People want the solution, not how the solution is delivered. So many people right now are going, oh, I'm doing this online, so I'm going to half my price. I'm like, why are you halving the value? Oh, it's just not face-to-face. Hang on. Are they still getting the core content? Are they still getting the core product? Yes, they are. If they implement it, will they get the same result? Yes, they will. So why are you devaluing it just because I'm not sitting next to you right now, Terry. I'm sitting in the same city with you. I'm probably 25 kilometers away, and we're doing it virtually, but I'm still giving you the same information. I can still screen share. You can show me your product online. I can go into the back end of your systems. I can do everything I need to do through here. It's the mindset of us, the business owner, that thinks, oh, I'm doing it differently. The world is going to change. I think we're going to go to probably September. Some people, you think it's going that long? I do. I think it's going to be till about September right now. We have 6 months to build something that when we come through this, and we will get slingshot out of this. I did a whole lot of research globally around SARS, MERS. We are not in economic crisis. We're in a health crisis that's having an economic impact. And every single major health scare that we've had since 1995 within 3 to 6 months, the world has bounced back economically by at least 30% in such a short period of time. Like growth. The growth has been like this. Every major health scare. So we'll get slingshot out of this, right? When we do, you're going to have the ability to do more than you've ever done before because you have to change. There's been no choice. This is such an advantage right now. I just did a one-on-one coaching session today with the client who does face-to-face events. All events have been shut down. We've just repivoted his whole product and his whole line, and I've never seen someone so excited about not going live anymore and doing it virtually. And I had to have this conversation, you do not reduce your price whatsoever. In fact, you can probably add more value right now virtually than you had before. You have every right to charge more if you really, really wanted to. Everything we deliver is about the price. The price, let me reframe that. I believe people price themselves directly proportional to how well they can sell. The biggest fear factor we have for not raising our price is we're scared we're going to lose a sale. Put your hand up if you agree. The number one reason we don't put our price up is we're scared we're going to lose a sale, right? And that's, if you have a robust sales process, you never have to have that fear again, ever. So I implore right now, and there might be an exception to every rule, but I believe over 90% of you, if you're still delivering something virtually like we are today, the value is not diminished. So don't diminish your price. Keep adding more value. Show how you can deliver that. People will pay it. Not a problem. You may, in this day and age, you may need to be flexible with your terms. And that's fine. But I just don't believe you're delivering less of a value, so don't ask for less of a price.
A key way to consider business at the moment for those that are quite established, and I've seen a lot of different people doing this, is where they're calculating what their losses are going to be from a dollar perspective. So let's just say their losses equate to a percentage, and therefore what they're doing is looking at what they need to do, what they need to offer in order to offset that percentage. So let's just say it's 30%. So what do we need to do to offset? So they could be offering existing products and services at 30% less and giving terms around that to support people to make better decisions. What do you think about that idea?
I think knowing your avatar, knowing your marketplace, knowing your cash flow scenario and being there for your consumers when they really need you is really important right now. I'm going to be launching my sales accelerator program for free. Right, it's not mega expensive, like 4 or 5K. It's not hugely expensive, and I'm going to let you pay it off in 6 months' time when you have the cash to do it. Because I think the market needs what I deliver right now. We need every sale now is worth 10 sales that it used to be. So if we have less leads, say you get 10 leads a week, now you get 2, you need to convert those 2 out of 2 leads. You just have to. So I think delivering various terms, you obviously, I know my cash flow situation. I've lost $100,000 this month in revenue. I know my cash flow situation. I know what I can sustain. I know where I can generate revenue from. I know how I can pivot. I know where I can get more opportunities from. But there are some clients who are staying on what they're doing. Others, I'm varying their terms because I know when they can, they will come back tenfold and spend more with me in the future because I help them right now. But it is proportional, I think, to what you know that you can sustain. But I think having flexibility for different industries on your market. So I think that example you've given, Terry, if it suits you and it suits the consumer and it builds loyalty and it builds branding and it builds customer equity, then it's a positive step forward.
Awesome. So can you give some tips to everyone give some examples of some other businesses that you've been working with that they may have an offline, and how you've supported them to think differently about selling to their clients online? Have you got any of those stories that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest ones right now is the fitness industry, right? All the health clubs have shut down. Hospitality shut down. I know a lot of people in hospitality who aren't closing, but they're shutting down. I know in New Zealand right now, you can't even do home delivery. I've got a friend of mine who owns a pizza shop literally a kilometre away from here. They're still doing home deliveries. But a lot of these people who are building audience right now, I'm suggesting they go out there and they shoot videos and teach people how to cook the food that they make. You know, there's an Indian she has 5 different sites. It's like, teach them how to cook Indian. It's like, but I don't want to give away my recipes. I said, no, you want them to fall in love with your food. So when they can't be bothered cooking, they're going to come to you. If you can't be bothered cooking, they're going to go somewhere. Make them fall in love with you right now. Teach them how to cook. Teach them how to make that best pizza. You be the one in the top of mind and tip of tongue. So when they're ready to come back, they're going to come back to you. Build your audience, build your database. Go from a database of 500 to 5,000 during this time. So when you are ready to launch, you'll make that money back in the next 6 months, from these first 6 months in the second 6 months. You know, the fitness industry right now, literally, it's just pivoted and doing online training. I have there's a business called PLC. They're mainly on the East Coast. And literally Monday, gyms got shut down. On Wednesday, they launched their online program. 50% of all their members, because obviously what the government's done, right, is they've stopped direct debits. A health club cannot take money from you. You have to re-sign a new contract for that to happen. They've re-signed 50%, right? I think they have 18 sites around Australia. 50% of their members have bought their online memberships, right? They're literally stuck in the studio, instantly in the studio, and they've just spent hours and hours creating workouts, creating programs, and creating an online at-home membership. I know a gentleman who ran a 4-day program. It's live, it's supposed to be in San Francisco. Everyone flies in all over the world to San Francisco. Had 2 days to pivot. 2 days. Did the whole thing through Zoom. After the first 2 days, he asked for feedback. Guys, this is unprecedented times. How are you guys finding this? Everybody but 2 people said it was better than live. Right? They said it was better than live. It was crazy. So, you know, I've got a handful of examples just like those. And the key is right now is your market. Why do they use what you use right now? Let me repeat that. Why does your market use your products or services? And we need to focus on why they use you. Because once you know why they use you, we can then go, okay, how else do I need to deliver that? So I said earlier about the 3 Ps, right? I got from a colleague of mine, Taki Moore. He did a Facebook session on this. And he said the first P I said to you guys was messaging. The second P was promise. You need to pivot your promise. The third thing you need to pivot is your delivery. How am I delivering what I'm doing? What does that delivery look like? And that delivery is so, so critical. So the question I want to ask you guys right now is, how can you deliver what you do in a way that still delivers why people want what you have? And sometimes we lose track of the why. Why do they want you? Why do they need you? What's another way of delivering that? So whether it be training, education, hospitality, there's ways we can there's 3 things everyone needs to do in this time. One, you need to build audience, right? Build audience never stops. 2, generate leads. 3, make sales. If you're not doing one of these 3 things, you're wasting time. There's nothing else that you need to be doing right now than building audience, generating leads, and making sales 90% of the time. 10%, build systems for replicability around all this kind of stuff. They're the 3 things we need to focus on. And you can do that pretty much in any segment, in any industry, but there's 3 or 4 examples right there.
I don't know if you guys just dropped out, but I did. So I was going, oh my God, I hope we're still going. So I hope you weren't just talking to yourself.
Drop out. I think 5 other people were now the hosts. And I was going, oh, such and such is the host. And Veronica's the host and Lorna's the host. And I'm like, oh, okay. If she doesn't come back, it's all right. I can talk for hours.
Well, you know what's interesting about this? This is when things go online. This is the sort of challenges that you can have. And I've seen this and I've experienced it myself so many times where you could be running a webinar and it's, you could have, hundreds of people listening in and suddenly the internet drops. And it's like, I think in this day and age, people do understand that those things that can happen. And for some, it'll be, oh my God, I've just wrecked everything. Now, how am I going to move on? Well, you just got to get back on and move on, and know that if you've got that trust and people are loyal to you, and they know that you are solving their problem, that they're also very forgiving. So it's so important to be that problem solver, isn't it?
Oh, I am so touched by humanity at the moment. And, dealing with business owners 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the amount of employees that are working for free, working the same hours for half the price, because they want the business to be there when they come back. I think we underestimate the human spirit, how people are really supporting each other, the amount of people are wanting to, invest back into small and medium businesses. I think it's really we underestimate. When we become the leader that a team need us to be, people will follow you. And they know what's going on. We need to respect the thinking of people more and tell them the truth of what's happening. And we all fight through this together. And I think that's the only way we are going to get through this. But I'm just seeing example after example of client after client who are articulating in a way with their team, and the team are understanding. Like, they just get it. They totally just get it. And it's really putting, it's warming my heart and putting a smile on my face at the same time as, it's being ripped out of my chest by the sadness of what's happening. However, people are bonding together. And, I really dislike the word social isolation. I really dislike it. I think it needs to be physical isolation. We need more social connection now than ever. We don't need social isolation. We need physical isolation. I get that. But we need social connection. This is what's going to enable us to create the partnerships. And I know industries that are competitors are now side by side. No longer are we competitors anymore. 7.2 billion people in the world. There's enough business for everybody. And I think we're starting to realize that right now. And it's really warming to see. It really, really is.
Yeah, there are so many opportunities and so many amazing people that are wanting to support each other. It is phenomenal. It's for some it will break them, but I think for the majority that can see it from a different perspective, it will make them. And it is such a time for contribution. And like you said, like, you can offer your program for free, and then there's a return at an endpoint, where people will be able to fund it from the support they've been given. And a lot of people are doing this and going out and saying, okay, well, you can't afford my services right now, so what I'm going to do is this. And even looking at ways that they're swapping value. It's like, I'll do this for you, you do this for me. It's interesting how the old way of bartering is coming back in, where businesses 100%. Are bartering. Yeah.
I've been suggesting that to organised companies as well. I mean, we go back to the old ways. More people now want to live off the land than they used to. Organic was really hippie, and now it's more mainstream. Bartering, like, it's almost like the world has kind of sent us to our corner and go back and look at the way we used to survive and we used to thrive. But yeah, bartering is there. Like, I know my product very, very well. I know that 100% of people that do my Sales Accelerator program make their money back within 8 weeks of the program finishing. I know that 94% make their money back before the program finishes. So I know they'll be able to pay me back. I know that because I know my business so, so well. I understand that. But I'm also, I'm creating partnerships with digital marketing companies, because what happens is clients, if they can't close a sale, they'll say the lead's crap. And the digital marketing company goes, they're not crap. You just don't know how to sell. So I'm helping digital marketers put a sales process in with their clients. So when they can sell, now the lead's all of a sudden good. They make more money. They'll pay the digital marketer more money, and the company's better because they're converting more leads. So there's so many strategic partnerships, I think, in today's world are such a high necessity. Other people have your audience. Other people have your database. How can you get access to that? I know in my Sales Accelerator program, I have guest speakers I bring in halfway through, because I want my members, once they know how to convert, they just go, Peter, I need more sales. I'm converting 89%. Give me more leads. So I get a digital marketer come in, or I get a referral expert to come in, or I get a finance person to come in. I want to bring other people in and give them to my clients, because it makes me look better when I put my clients in front of your expertise and you help them. So I want to bring in other people to my clients. And so I think the bartering, the strategic partnerships, the alliances are now more important than ever. It's how can we work together now? And I think it's just the way we have to go.
Yeah, it totally is. Look, we've got about 10 minutes left, so let's open up for some questions, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, love to.
So Charlotte is waiting very patiently to ask a question. So Charlotte Hill, I'll get you to unmute.
Yes. Hi, Peter. I love your, I was going to say speech. That's not the word. I love, I love what your knowledge you've been sharing so far.
Thank you.
And well, let's just say it's taken me a year to figure out what I want to do. In the last 2 weeks, I now know exactly what I want to do. And following on from what you were saying, I don't have a website yet. I'm going to knock one up. That's fine. But what else? You're talking about building an audience and generate leads. Yes. Can you give me some more details on how to do that, please?
Yeah, for sure. We need to start before we're ready. We really, really do. You need to get a presence in the marketplace. I know so many businesses that have just gone out there and started conversing with their expertise, and then the idea of what their product thought was going to be and what it ended up being was very different because they started getting insight from the marketplace as long as they started building that audience. So do you mind if I ask for a bit of context, what is the idea you come up with?
Okay, so basically, I've spent 2 weeks doing a master certification in NLP and hypnotherapy.
Yes.
So basically, I've turned my own mindset. So 2 weeks ago, I was a pill junkie with lots of problems. Now, all I see is opportunity, and I want to, I have lots of tools. I have lots of enthusiasm and belief, and I want to help other people do the same. And I believe, obviously, that's very relevant right now, but I also know I need to niche it down, because if I go too global, that's going to be hard as well. So,
yeah.
So yeah.
Charlotte, what have you noticed has been? What have you noticed has been the biggest change once you started studying NLP in you personally?
It's just night and day. I found my purpose. That's one. So yep. I now get out of bed happily. I found, it's corny, I found myself beneath all the layers of crap all my limiting beliefs, basically. So I've shed all my limiting beliefs. Now I'm ready to rock and roll. And I want to help everyone else.
Is there a model that you used to help uncover that? Did you do timeline therapy? I've studied NLP since 1998, so I'm quite au fait.
Yeah, all of it. So yeah, sure, we did timeline therapy, but obviously we used the hypnotic language, the Milton, the meta model. For me, yep. To make my own shift in my mind, language was very powerful because I had a lot of negative language. Once I shifted that, all of a sudden I started using, meta model violations on myself, questioning myself, and all of a sudden I ended up just seeing possibilities and not, I can't for the life of me be negative. I'm the most annoying person in the world right now because I'm wandering around. Yeah. She's so bloody chirpy.
Charlotte, I'm getting goosebumps here. I'm a very kinesthetic person, so I feel like I'm quite aligned with a lot of individuals, but you just need to share your story, my love. You need to create a blog called From Pills to Purpose.
I love it.
And you just need to tell your story and embed a model that you used each step of the way. Timeline your journey, and people will connect with your message. Mm. There is an amazing Netflix show my wife and I started watching yesterday, and it's going to kill me because I need to remember it. It's based in the early 1800s, 1910. Black African woman, she created this product for hair. Does anyone know what it is? Watch it. It's such a great entrepreneurial movie, right? Such a great entrepreneurial movie.
Black woman with hair.
It's a great product to help black women who obviously have, Afro hair to be able to style their hair. Okay. And she tries to sell this product and she can't. She starts telling people about her story. and and the hair product is to give you a better life. If you want to be more respected, if you want to get a better job. And she starts telling her story about how it made her life better. She's now got a husband who doesn't beat her anymore, who respects her. This will give you a better life. Mm. And this paste, which she was trying to sell the features and benefits of the paste, which is about as old school as you can get. Like feature benefit selling went out in the 80s, like, the mullet and, the stonewashed jeans and jacket. That's an era that just doesn't need to be revived again. That's where feature benefit selling needs to live as well. So you just need to build your audience. You need to share your story and your journey and embed the tools and strategies that you used along the way. One whole segment is about limiting beliefs. Another one is about purpose. Another one is about having focus. And you talk people through what you're doing. And then people are going to want to know, so how do you do this? A great example. I had a young girl, just turned 20, came to us earning $10,000 to $12,000 a month selling stretching posters, right? Done it for 7 months, selling stretching posters, learning how to stretch. She had a poster called Get Bendy, Get Stretchy. There was 2 or 3, they were $39, $49 and $59, right? The average poster price was about $47.50. She was selling about 12 grand a month. How did she get to that stage? And she allows me to tell this story. Hopefully it will help and motivate others. So she has chronic scoliosis, dependent on painkillers, affected her mentally. Through teenage years was massive depression. Really was not in a good way emotionally, not in a good way physically. Massive operations and being in traction for a long period was the only solution. She got into meditation and yoga and stretching to try calm her mind more than anything else and give her a bit of sanity back and get her out of depression. She started, stretching, and she started feeling better when she was stretching. And she had her diary, which was Instagram. She started plotting pictures of before and afters of what she used to do to stretch, and just writing how she felt and what stretches did what for her. And she had 5 people follow her, which went to 50 people, which went to 500 people, which to 5,000 people, which went to 50,000 people. And when she got to about 3,000 to 4,000 people, some people started saying, what stretch do you do for this? And have you got a poster or something? She goes, I'll knock one up and send it to you. Someone said, can I have one? And can I have one? And so she started creating all these posters. And then she kind of hit this plateau of about $12,000 a month. And then we showed her a model of how to communicate and find what I call your connection point with your audience, right? There's this critical factor where you find this connection point. And we gave her a way to articulate what she does through her Instagram post. And all she was doing was Instagram. And in 1 month, she went from 12 grand to 20 grand. And the next month, she went from 20 grand to 40 grand. Selling $47.50 posters. Now, you can imagine the profit margin on that, right? You just print a poster, put it in a cylinder, zip it off and send it. It's like 98% profit. And she had this ability, but the way she, aside from going through the sales strategies, the reason I share this with you is she just started sharing her journey. And people started connecting with her journey. Then they started asking her for the solution, which she then created to give them and create a business model out of it. Mm-hmm. So for you, it might be courses, it might be group stuff. You might create an online program for it. But right now, while you're getting everything ready, and while you build this website, it could be a Wix website, you just build at very low cost. Just get out there and start talking about your story, start talking about your journey. Are you a writer? Then write about it. Are you a talker? Then talk about it in a podcast. Are you good at video? Then get on and do a vlog. We have so many opportunities right now to repurpose content. But I could talk forever. But does that help? Does that kind of give you all some examples?
I've already started to just put my little opinions and chirpy stuff on LinkedIn and stuff, because I think it's needed right now. And yeah, just to create, I guess it's creating an audience.
Can I ask you to stop doing the chirpy stuff and start doing the deep stuff? Get deep. Talk about your journey.
I say chirpy, I mean positive. Okay. Oh, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
There's enough positive. I think someone needs to hear what you've gone through. Yeah. And because I've heard your story, it's going to save their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to someone's going to go through that. It's
annoying to get chirpy stuff from people who you think have never suffered.
Well, that's annoying. It won't create the momentum you want. Mm-hmm. It won't create the momentum. We need depth. Hands up who wants more depth.
Well, I can give you deep.
There's your answer right there. The whole community in front of you right now wants more depth. So, you know, I'm very blunt with, you know, I'm very black and white. So when I say don't do chirpy, it's an as well as strategy, not an instead of strategy. Do that as well, but do that one every 5 posts. The other 4, give them depth, give them story, give them content.
All right. Thanks to Charlotte. We have got 1 minute left and we've got, can you do a quick answer in a minute?
I can do my best. I can't
Rob
probably
is,
noticed I started to shut up.
Yeah, Rob is just a new in sales. It's only been a month or 2 in, and he's just asking for a bit of advice of what he should do to succeed.
Yeah, great. I love new salespeople because they come with no bad habits. You know, often I get experienced salespeople and I have to detrain them to retrain them. You know, I'm very fortunate. When I started in sales, I was an accidental salesperson. I was very naive. You know, when I started in the fitness industry as a salesperson, I grew up when I was 4. I started playing soccer. My dad was coach of the men's team. I started playing under 6s, and I had a soccer coach. You know, I did swimming, and I started doing competitive swimming at the age of 6 and 7, and I always had a swimming coach. I did tennis, and I had a tennis coach. I did athletics, and I had a little athletics coach. You know, I played basketball. I had a basketball coach. And I got into American football and gridiron. I did that for 15 years and represented Australia. And I had everything I ever know. I had a coach. You know, I had a public speaking coach and an NLP coach. I did martial arts. I had a sensei. I only know to get good in life, you need a coach. That's all I ever know. So my naivety, when I went to the gym and someone came in to ask about gym memberships, I presented personal training to everybody. Because I believe the best way for anyone to get a result is to train once or twice a week on your own and once or twice a week with a trainer. Because that's all. That was my wiring in my brain. You want to get great? Get someone who's already great, who knows what you want to do, and they'll get you there quicker and faster with less time and less risk. So I presented everybody who came in, whether you're a single mum with 4 kids, whether you're on the dog, I just presented personal training, and I would sell a 30-pack of PT at $1,500 once a day, every day. The target was sell 1 a week, I'd sell 1 a day. Because my naivety was people buy the solution, they don't buy the product. And in fact, I'm going to go deeper right now. They don't even buy the solution. What they buy is the effect the solution has on them. I repeat, people buy the effect the solution has. So I was selling the effect of what they had, and they didn't need a gym membership. They didn't need personal training. They needed a plan to give them the effect of what they wanted. So I sold the plan. I didn't sell the product. I'm going to swear at the moment unapologetically, but you know, people don't give a fuck about what you do. They just don't care. All they care is how does that make them feel? So Rob, if you can articulate, uncover the buying motivators of your consumer and what effect it's having, and I'm not sure what industry you're in, Rob, and what you're going to, what your sales rep for, but people won't buy what it is that you have. They're not buying this microphone. They're not buying the telephone. It's, you know, Steve Jobs, I think, was the best sales and marketer in the world, rest in peace. And when the first iPad came out, I don't have my iPad here, but when the first iPad came out, the ad was shot through the lens of an iPad. And it was shooting a family on a holiday. And there was no talk about how slimline it is. There was no talk about the megapixels on the camera or how lightweight it was. It was all about creating memories. And we're not an Apple, you don't buy a Mac, you're a Mac user. You have ownership around it. So it's about creating that emotional connection with your consumer. Don't focus on your product or service. There's a book called The Dip. I suggest everybody read it. I find in the first 2 to 3 months when I get hold of a salesperson, the sales take off. Then they get infected by their company, and the company has a lot of product knowledge training. And I always find there's a dip. 3 to 6 month mark, sales drop. Why? Because you learn too much product knowledge and you lead with product knowledge. And you lead with product knowledge, you're leading about facts, you're leading about logic, and logic slows decision-making down. But when you don't know much about the product or the service, you can't sell on product or service. So you sell on the effects that that product has. So Rob, obsess about getting to the emotional cortex of the brain, obsess about finding out the effects of the outcomes of what your product and service does. Communicate that, guarantee you'll be light years ahead of anyone else. And I know that wasn't a minute, that was 3 minutes. I apologise.
Yeah, so we've gone a bit over, that's okay. I know there were other questions because I know Sue Croc sent me questions to ask. Is there a chance that if I get the questions that you can answer them outside of this, Peter?
Yeah, listen,
These other questions, because obviously we haven't got time to do any more at the moment.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I apologise. Sometimes my answers are a bit long-winded, but I have problems in not what to give, it's what not to give. There's two things we can probably do. One is you can collate those questions, and I'm more than happy to record an answers, put it in your community somewhere. I've also recorded a 3-part video training series. I'm happy to give everyone for free. In there's my contact details if they want to reply back to that. I can share that with, I don't have it on me now. I could find it and put it into this message box, or just give it to you, Terry, and you can share it with everybody if you like. It's just a 3-part video series on how to build a replicable, scalable sales process. And if you need to get in touch with me there, you can. So there's 2 ways we could do that.
I think it'd be awesome. I mean, obviously everyone on here is very interested in what you do. And if we can get those connections to them. So if you want to share them with me, I'll be in touch with everyone anyway, because I would love to connect in with them personally, as I said. So we will do that. We'll make sure we get that and get the information out to them. So my team has been working very hard behind the scenes to make sure that we get everyone's details, and then we can get back to you with the information.
Yeah, great, awesome. So if Terry doesn't have your email,
so Peter, thanks.
Yeah, if Terry doesn't have your email, drop it in the text box now to make sure she does grab it.
Yeah, awesome. We've got, I think they all registered with their email from memory. So we've got all that anyway. But thank you so much, Peter. It's been amazing. And yeah, you've just reiterated what many people probably think as a consumer and know as a consumer, but don't think about it as someone who is actually on the other side. You know, we buy with emotions. We buy by the feeling that something gives us. We don't, as business owners, always do that. So that's been invaluable. I cannot thank you enough for giving us this time. I know, you know, it's your family time as well, so I appreciate that. On that note, everyone, thank you so much for showing up and you know, giving your time. And there's thanks going on in the chat box too that you can have a look at. We will be finishing up now. I will be in touch with each and every one of you, and like I said, connecting in, seeing how I can support you best. If there's a connection with Peter and, you know, you want to be obviously aligning with what he's doing and his programs, please go for it. Right now, it's who can get the best support from who they resonate with, because, yeah, that's what it's about, that contribution side. So on that note, I'd like everyone, you can unmute if everyone wants to, and just say a big farewell. Thank you so much for coming along. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you for organising this, Terry. I think everyone's very appreciative of you putting this together at this time of need. So thank you to you as well. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. It's, yeah, I'm very humbled by all your attendance. Thank you.